Hi, I'm Monk and this is the Monk Way. Let's analyze Tesla stocks. We'll look at their numbers, any recent news, and see if they're a good buy right now. Subscribe and leave a like for more investing videos. I make them every day. And check out my stock market group below, where I show you guys every single buy or sell I make in the market, with my portfolio of over $300,000. Let's start by looking at their stock price. In 6 months, there was almost no movement, up 1%. This is pretty similar in 1 year, down about 13%. And in 5 years, we see a 20% increase. So it seems like this stock hasn't moved much in 5 years. When it does move, it's very volatile. This tells us this might be a good stock to swing trade. If you buy this when it's low and sell it when it's high, you could have made a lot of money in the past few years. Let's move on to Yahoo Finance for some simple technical analysis. The red line is the 200-day moving average. Purple line is the 50-day. As you can see, there seems to be a pattern here of always swinging down and up. If the stock price goes below the 50-day, it seems to swing up after a week or so. This happened over 10 times over the last 2 years. Outside of these swings, there's no real pattern here. But right now we're on a 25% dip, so it might be a good stock to look at. Let's continue by looking at the revenue for the last 5 years. We had a 26% increase in 2014, a 73% increase in 2015, 67%, 82%. So the revenue growth for this company is really high, from 3.2 billion to 21 billion. The problem is that they're losing money every year. The net income at the bottom says they lost almost 300 million in 2014, 888 million in 2015, 674 million, 1.96 billion. This one's a huge loss. In the last year, almost 1 billion. So this is not a profitable company. Looking at the quarterly financials, the revenue is still going up, a 70% increase in September. So at least revenue is going up. And in the most recent quarters, they're actually making money, 300 million and 139 million. So it seems like good news recently. Looking at the balance sheet, we can see cash of 3.88 billion, more cash of 950 million, inventory of 3 billion, for a total current assets of 8.3 billion. This is a lot of money. Looking at the total assets, including all the cars, equipment, and plants, we have 29.7 billion. So that's a good amount of assets. Going down to liabilities, about 10 billion in short-term liabilities. So they owe $10 billion, and about 23 billion in total money owed. This actually hasn't changed for the past year. That's not too bad, but the debts are pretty high. They have no PE ratio because they're not profitable for the whole year, but a forward PE of 28, so they're expecting higher profits soon. A price to sale of 2.23 is actually very good. It means the revenue are pretty high. Price to book of 9.6, this is pretty high, so they don't have that much money in their books. And their debt compared to equity is actually 2.19, which means they have a lot more debts than they do equity. This is not a good sign if something serious comes up. And even their current ratio is 0.83, which means they have to come up with cash if they can't pay off the 1-year debts. This is why this is a high-risk company. This company is so high risk that the analysts don't know where to stand. People expect as high as $500 in the price, $312 average, and as low as $23. Let's look at the most recent earnings reports from CNBC. It does say that Tesla actually had a profit, and this was the second consecutive quarter where they reported profits. So this is good news in the short term, but overall it was a mixed bag, and its stock actually dropped after the recent earnings. They missed on EPS, $1.93 versus $2.20 expected, but they beat on revenue, $7.23 billion versus $7.08 billion expected. Compared this to last year, they actually lost $670 million, while this quarter they made $139 million, an actual profit, and their revenue actually doubled since last year. So I think overall this is good news. They made a profit and they doubled their revenue. They're aiming for about 400,000 vehicles delivered in 2019. This is about 55% more than 2018. Let's look at some recent news surrounding Tesla. Elon Musk actually announced a $35,000 Model 3. This was long expected, but at the cost of closing some stores. Tesla is shifting to online-only sales. This lowered the price of all vehicles by 6%, which allowed its price of $35,000. So this is mixed news. On one hand, it's a cheaper car, it might get a lot of sales. On the other hand, they're actually closing a lot of stores. Elon Musk also says that the company might not be profitable in the first quarter, which is not the best news since it just had 2 quarters of profits. The stock is actually down on this news, about 10% dip so far. The CEO Elon Musk also had some problems recently with the SEC. They said that Musk violated his settlement with the SEC last fall, where he wasn't allowed to tweet things about his company without telling the SEC first. The tweet in question was this: Tesla made 0 cars in 2011, but will make about 500,000 in 2019. This seems like a harmless tweet, but the SEC wanted more control over Musk's tweets since he could affect the stock markets. His last tweet about taking Tesla private at $420 caused a lot of issues for the SEC, so now he has to report to them anytime he wants to tweet about his company. But he doesn't seem to want to follow the rules. Going back to the technical analysis, If you were going to buy the stock, it seems like it's a good idea to buy around 260 bucks. It always seems to bounce back whenever it dips around here, and right now it's pretty close to this line. This is a company that made 120,000 vehicles in 2017, and more than doubled that to 350,000 in 2018. And in 2019, they're going to try to make 500,000 vehicles, so the growth is there. And electric vehicles are the future, so there's only more room to go up. Personally, I bought Tesla a few times. One time I sold for 13%, another time for 10%, for a total profit of about $700. Join my stock market group below to see exactly when I buy or sell Tesla. Subscribe and leave a like for more investing videos. I make them every day. Keep watching to buy the best stocks the Monk way.